Joining us today on our Book Talk segment, great to welcome a woman who's put together a book that I'm sure is going to make a lot of people happier. It'll take some time off their cooking. It's called Sheet Pan Suppers, 120 Recipes for Simple, Surprising, Hands-Off Meals Straight from the Oven. We're joined today by Molly Gilbert. She's a graduate of the French Culinary Institute, and she joined us by telephone today. And Molly, good to talk to you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. You're out in Seattle, is that right?
Yep, that's right.
So you'll have something to cook for in about a week during the Super Bowl. Probably people want to cook a quick meal, right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people are excited out here.
Going for 2 in a row, so that'll be fun. But I was kind of intrigued when we had a chance to have you on. I'm not a great cook by any means, but I'm always for cutting time off making meals, and I've always known that sheet pan. I've used it to make simple things, but I didn't realize you could do all this. I would say fancy, but at least more involved meals on the sheet pan in the oven.
Yeah, absolutely. And the book takes you through everything from making appetizers and lunches and dinners, all the way through brunch. There's a brunch section, and even desserts you can make on a sheet pan.
You're talking about roasting, broiling, baking, so a little bit of everything, right?
Yep, a little bit of everything. And that kind of cooking means you really get a lot of great flavor in your meat, in your vegetables, or whatever you're cooking.
How did you put these recipes together?
I've been using sheet pans for years, mostly just to make cookies or to roast vegetables for a side dish. But my editor came to me with the idea of full meals on a sheet pan a few years ago, and I just jumped on the idea and really started experimenting in the kitchen, and pretty quickly realized that there's so much you can do. So it was really fun for me, actually, to create the book.
So you did a lot of experimenting with different recipes. Is it obviously it's simpler, but what makes it simpler to cook this way?
So it sort of goes along the same lines as a crock pot or a one-pot meal, in that you're only using one pan, and it's a relatively hands-off cooking method, and there's very few dishes to be done at the end, which is always a good thing, I think. But on a sheet pan, you can really get a little bit more variety and more texture than just kind of soup and stew and that type of thing. So you can do, you can get a juicy piece of steak or a really nice piece of fish layered with vegetables, and kind of get all different components of a meal on one pan.
Oh, so you can cook a steak that way, rather than just frying it or putting it in a frying pan. You can cook a steak on a sheet pan?
Yes, absolutely.
I'll have to try that. What do you recommend any type of pan? I guess there's aluminum, there's so many different types of cooking ware. Any particular one that's better than another?
Yeah, I would recommend an aluminum or a stainless steel sheet pan, and you just want to make sure that you have a true sheet pan, which is 8 by 13 inches, and it has a 2-inch lip around the edge, which is a little bit different than a cookie sheet, which is totally flat. And also a jelly roll pan is the same shape, but a little bit smaller. So you want to make sure that you are really working with a sheet pan for these recipes.
Does it cook any quicker on a sheet pan, or is that the same? I'm talking about meat and that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, it depends. A lot of things cook quite quickly on a sheet pan if we're putting them under the broiler. I have got a chicken recipe that's cooked with broccoli and peanut sauce, and that cooks for about 10 minutes under the broiler, and a steak recipe that cooks also for about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how you like your steak.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, that's only 10 minutes. That's pretty good. Just reading through some of the recipes, and one looked very good. Baked turkey meatballs and roasted tomatoes. Talk about that one. That one sounds very good.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites in the book, actually. And I've had that meatball recipe for years and used to make them on the stovetop. But when I was first testing recipes for the book, that was one of the first ones I made. And what you do is you lay out your tomatoes on the sheet pan and drizzle with a little olive oil and put those into the oven. And then while those are roasting at a low temperature, you get your meatballs together and you mix your turkey meat with some breadcrumbs, some Parmesan cheese, some fresh basil, and you shape the meatballs. And then throw those onto a separate sheet pan in the oven with the tomatoes, and then everything cooks together and comes out really flavorful and moist. And you can serve that with pasta, or you can just serve it on some bread or with some extra cheese.
Yeah, that sounds great. A few years ago, maybe more than a few years ago now, I've been buying a lot of the ground turkey. I guess that's kind of become more of a popular way to have ground beef now, ground meat, I should say, as opposed to the beef. Nothing wrong with that, but it seems to be quite popular, the ground turkey nowadays.
It is, yeah. It's some people like it just a little bit less fatty than beef, although you could certainly make those meatballs with beef if you prefer.
Yeah, and it almost tastes like beef if you cook it that way too. So it's interesting. Yeah, there's a little less fatty too. I know you can cook fish on there. You have a salmon recipe as well, pork. So any type of meat can be cooked on a sheet pan, right? There's no limitation on that.
Right, absolutely, no limitations.
How about desserts? You have a couple of dessert menus, dessert recipes there that look good. Brownies, I guess that's always been kind of done that way anyway. What are some of the other desserts you can make?
Yeah, I couldn't have a cookbook without a dessert section with my sweet tooth. But yeah, those brownies are some of my favorite because since they're cooked on a sheet pan, they come out much thinner than a regular brownie, but they're still really fudgy and dense. So I like to put those as a bookends on an ice cream sandwich, which is delicious. So you can also roast fruit and serve that with whipped cream. You can make sheet cakes, pound cakes. You can even make s'mores, actually, on a sheet pan.
Oh, great. Now, is your job? I mean, I know you do a food blog. You're an instructor as well, and a recipe tester. So you're always kind of trying different things out, right? Different types of combinations of food.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I love to eat and I love cooking, and my job lets me do it every day.
That's great. Well, the name of the book is called Sheet Pan Suppers. We've been talking with Molly Gilbert today. Molly, I know the book just came out, doing quite well, but do you want to direct people to a website where they can get a hold of you?
Absolutely. If you want more information about the book or just separate recipes, you can find them on my personal food blog, which is called Dunk and Crumble. So it's at dunkandcrumble.com.
Great name for a site. And Molly, pleasure talking to you. Good luck to your Seahawks, and hopefully we can talk to you again. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or DougMilesMedia.com.